Am I here? Can everybody see me? Can everybody hear me? Good Lord. What is going on with the internet this week? Let me do this real quick.
Broadcasting across Australia on Dare Media Group radio stations, this is the Sportcat Show, uncovering secret chapters, strange encounters,
and the occasional technical mishap.
Well, today was the technical mishap. Jesus. All right. So I hope that everybody can find us over here. We'll give them a few minutes. Apparently, the internet totally crashed for me on Monday and Tuesday. And then for some reason, the entire studio just went absolutely batshit crazy when I went to go live. So, all right. Well, let me bring out my wonderful and beautiful co-host. Maybe they can calm me down. Harley, JM. Oh, what the absolute hell. So, all right, let's get this going. Better late than ever. Hey, all right. So Randy and
Randall and Chris.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to email the other guest. Jesus. All right. Well, our first guest, I am totally off track now. Our first guest tonight, Jeff Klein. He is a comedian, and hopefully he can lighten this room up a little bit. So let's give it up for Jeff. He's finally found us. Jeff, how are you?
Hello, Jeff.
Welcome.
Thank you. It's going okay. How's it going? I feel like I'm really close to my screen right here. I feel like it's a lot of Jeff right now.
Well, that's all right. We like a lot of Jeff. So. Yeah. I apologize for the I don't even know what to call it, but I went to nobody was showing up in the studio. Something's wrong. And so I was like, all right, nobody's here. Something's wrong. And I was like, all right, it's 9. I'm just going to go live. Went to go live, and the whole thing just died. So, I'm sorry.
So situations where you either have to laugh or cry, and laughing gives you less lines. So
yeah. Let me get a couple things out of the way real quick. We want to thank everybody at WZQR and WRFN for putting up with these technical difficulties, and we want to thank our friends in Australia as well for allowing us all to tickle your ears. All right, Jeff, we're nice and smooth.
Yeah. Smooth sailing here on
out. So how are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, I'm having a good evening here. No complaints. Where's everybody located of the three of you, just so I can get a base idea?
I'm in Ohio.
Okay.
I'm in the Great White North. I'm Southern Alberta.
Southern Alberta, sure.
A lot colder than here in Atlanta. It's 77 today.
Yeah,
just a bit colder than Yeah,
I'm dealing with that really weird winter here in Florida as well. It was 70 something today too, and I was like, okay, so we just don't believe in it in Florida. That's fine.
It's like fake winter.
Yeah.
No, we're getting real winter up here. We could give you some if you like.
We got it here in Ohio too.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
I will pass, but they said that in like 2 weeks it was going to snow in Atlanta, and I'm like, what? No, it's not going to snow in Atlanta. So, but it may. They say it's going to get cold again, but cold to Atlanta is like it's 40. So freezing is like 30.
You're talking Fahrenheit, not Celsius, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Our doors freeze shut in the winter.
Wow. I couldn't imagine that. No. So, Jeff, so what part of Florida are you in?
St. Petersburg area, and I'm born and raised down here in Florida. So like I've visited winter up in like Delaware and so on, but beginning of the December I was up in Atlanta, and I want to say it was like high 40s, low 50s, and it was freezing. Sorry, I got distracted by the Roger Clemens reference in the chat. I don't know why I have the chat up, but I'm going to obsess over it now because Roger Clemens was absolutely an all-star pitcher, but also fat. And that's what I'm taking from the reference is a lot of Jeff is a lot of Jeff. And I'm going to now move my laptop so the angle is all the way above looking down on me.
I don't think he meant like that.
Just obviously, Chris means I seem like a very talented baseball player who belongs in the Hall of Fame, and that's obviously.
I take it that way.
Yeah, 100%.
I take it that way.
I can't imagine, and
Right,
you know what? It's silly. I even said the other thing. I don't know where that popped up. Obviously, all-star physique is what he was going with, and that makes perfect sense. What was I saying? Oh yeah, born and raised in Florida. It's hot here. Sometimes it gets so hot, our doors expand the wood, and then we can't get out. So same thing.
That's where Glenn wants to move, is Florida.
Yes. I want to abandon winter for good. Either that, or if we make another
Chris
state,
said
I'm
not
moving to
that.
Cleveland.
He's a big Clemens fan. You resemble him facially only, nothing else.
There you go. So you did interpret it correctly.
Yeah, and I'll take it. I'm also a big Clemens fan, so I'll absolutely take it.
It's those first impressions there. He knew right away you were an all-star. So.
It's so funny in doing stand-up comedy and putting myself out there and being on the internet as much as we need to be for my career. The references happen, and there is a current reference and that I'm okay with. There's a previous one so like a couple years ago, I'd put out a clip and I'd get a lot of comments saying, "Oh, you look like Bert Kreischer." Now, I had my shirt on the whole time, so I don't know why they thought I looked. But basically, I have a belly to me, and they were like, "Oh, you have a belly. He has a belly. You're both white. You're Bert Kreischer." Recently, because of all the success he's having with his new show, which is well earned, I am hearing a lot when I leave the stage that I sound just like Seth Rogen. And
You kind of do, though.
Yeah, I get it. It's a deep voice. There's a little gravel to it, but
I wouldn't take anything but negative about that because Seth Rogen's hilarious.
Yeah, there's that is a step in the right direction from being said I look like Bert Kreischer to I sound like Seth Rogen. I'll take sound like Seth Rogen.
Show on HBO where him and that girl are like he's smokes pot and stuff on that show.
Yeah. So like he just won a bunch of awards for the studio, I want to say it's called. And so he's getting a lot of so it's in people's minds, but I'll take it. It's again, there's worse things to be called.
That's a compliment.
I'll take that one. Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think my favorite thing he's done is Pineapple Express.
It was so good, so funny.
I loved Pineapple Express.
Yeah.
When I was
Knocked Up.
When I was younger, I got people said, "You look like John Candy," and I'm like, "What? What? Because I'm fat?"
No, because you have a joyous nature about you. I just watched the documentary on him, and it was very good, actually. I mean, sad because we lost him at it said that it reminded us he died in 1994, and I was like, was it 94?
Yeah, no kidding.
Goodness, I didn't realize it was that. That doesn't seem like that long ago because I remember 1994, but then I stopped and think I'm like, that was what, over 30 years, almost 30 years ago?
I was taken aback by it. I was like, oh, that's not okay. That's not.
No.
Yeah, when your music you grew up with is suddenly in the elevators. That's
I think I was 20 the first time I heard them playing a song that I used to listen to on the school bus. And I'm like, oh, that's a good song. And then they called it a golden oldie. I'm like, I hate you.
Yeah. I was going to do this show at
94. I was 9.
I was a little older than 9 in 1994, but not much older.
Yeah, I was 14, but it didn't. To me, looking back, I was like, I thought I was older when he passed away, which made it seem like that's too far away type thing. But yeah, but I did a show at a theater, and the sound guy said, "What song do you want to come out to?" And I said, "Sweetness" by Jimmy Eat World, which is just a nice intro. Gets you paying attention right away. And he was like, "Oh, I love the oldies." And I was like, "We don't need to talk anymore. That's contemporary music to me. What do you mean the oldies? Like what are you talking about?" Yeah, so that was the last time I talked to that sound guy.
So Randall asked, who are the only 2 men in baseball who are in the Hall of Fame that are not ball players?
I have no clue.
There's got to be coaches, right?
Probably Lasorda would be one.
He didn't play?
I don't think.
Randall, who are the 2 men who did not play?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Lasorda would have been my guess, but once again, like we were talking about in our reference, I only remember him as a coach. So
yeah. So I would imagine that it's 2 coaches, but I can't think of who the coaches are.
I'm not a baseball fan.
Neither am
I. I couldn't tell you.
Well,
ironically, I grew up on the Toronto Blue Jays, where Roger Kellerman's played, by the way, for a bit, because their spring training team was in Dunedin, Florida, where I'm born and raised. So I got to go to their spring training all the time.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, Knoxville, where I grew up, used to have a minor league team. Well, they still do, but we used to go there all the time. And it was great. So it's a lot cheaper than getting in trouble.
Oh, absolutely. Abbott and Costello, not the answers I was expecting.
No, me either. But makes sense. All right. Well, thank you, Randy. Who's on first? That makes sense. Well, so you have toured around the world, haven't you?
I have. I've toured around the world. I actually got to do comedy in Australia before. You said that we're streaming live there, so I was lucky enough.
We're still streaming live there.
Yeah. Well, who knows? Who knows if anybody's actually? Well, some people are seeing this, obviously. But yeah, I've gotten to tour around the U.S., around the world. I've been very fortunate to get to do comedy as many different places as possible. I have yet to do comedy in Canada, but that does not mean that will not happen soon. Hopefully, sooner than later. I've been pretty fortunate to get to go around and tell jokes to people and try and make them laugh.
That's so
better to make them laugh than cry.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
That's my philosophy in life. I think I've mentioned that twice now, but that's my philosophy.
Hey, with my job, I have to calm people down who are about to cry.
Yeah. Well,
I either get screamed at or cried at, and so I've dealt with both ends.
Well, I work in a tax office, so.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
I'm just a mom.
I'm a mom too, of 4, so. I get both.
I was going to say I once upon a time worked at an Office Depot office supply store, and I worked as a manager back in the days when they were doing the mail-in rebates, if you remember those, and if you didn't fill it in right, you did. So I was the customer service manager. So speaking of laughing or crying or people being happy or sad, I constantly spent my day just getting yelled at by people who didn't get their rebate, and me just saying, I agree with you. It's a stupid system and we should change it, but it's not. So sorry.
Rules, you just have to follow them. See, my problem is I can't make people laugh on purpose. It's always by accident. I can't imagine trying to make people laugh on purpose. I'm not that funny.
So neither are most comedians. But it's a funny thing. Once you learn, here's the weird thing about comedy is, I'll give you the insight. You have to be naive enough and bold enough to think people care about what you're going to say. And once you get over that hurdle, you find out that you're not that unique. So something that like happened to you today and you're like, I can't believe this happened to me. Nobody's going to believe that. If you go on stage and you just talk about it, the amount of people in an audience that are like, been there. That happened to me too. You start realizing that it's a bigger shared experience, and then you just can talk about anything on stage. And that's when you get just, you lose that idea of like, which, you know, everybody's unique and a beautiful individual, but at the same time, we have a lot more shared experiences. So that's what makes comedy somewhat easy, is just knowing that if I just talk about stuff I'm going through, it's going to relate to a lot of people because we're all kind of going through different things, but it's amazing how much it lines up.
Yeah. So do you like look at life experiences and stuff and kind of draw those out?
Yeah, it's a lot of my stuff is personal, observational. I am usually the butt of my joke. I'm the idiot in the joke for the most part. I'm not trying to put anybody else down in my joke. So when I'm telling a joke, it's little things, and it's stuff that's personal. But even like a quick one that I just recently brought on stage to try out to see, does everybody get this, is I'm getting all these text messages from unknown numbers, right? Like these annoying text messages. People are trying to buy my house. People are trying to sell me insurance. And then I don't know if everybody else has gotten this text message, but recently I just got one from my parents saying, "Are we going to see you this year?" And I just wonder, how are they getting my phone number? And so, well, you know, it's a relatable to everybody, and then you turn it back on yourself to, you know, kind of be the joke on it type thing.
Yeah, I suppose.
So
I suppose if I looked at that, if a person, especially a parent, and Haley can probably attest to that, there's a lot of situations that happen on a daily basis that are, you know, not pleasant in the moment, but you look back on them and you just have to laugh.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And like you said, you know, with the stuff that happened here today, laugh or cry, right? Like if those are your two options, if you know you have two options, pick laugh.
I was a paramedic for my career, so I've got plenty of stories.
Oh, sure.
I was I was an X-ray tech for about 10 years. So I worked in hospitals and emergencies, and I've got a lot of stories as well. And you develop a dark sense of humor depending on your lifestyle. Do you find that your life kind of changes your sense of humor as you go through?
No, yeah, 100%. And I always have to, especially when you get in trouble when you get around other comics. So I feel a lot of other comics, their love language is making fun of each other, and some of my best friends and I say the worst things to each other out of love and so on. And then we have to, if somebody else is around us, we have to remember that may not translate outside of how we know each other. And so, yeah, we definitely have a dark sense of humor, and that, I mean, that's I think that's a fine coping mechanism. I've definitely used that in my years as a coping mechanism, and just a way to get through things that just makes sense to me. It works for me. My parents had a bit. I grew up on British comedy, so
yes,
yeah. So like my parents had me watching Blackadder growing up, Monty Python, Are You Being Served?
Red Skelton.
Yeah, Red Skelton, absolutely. So I developed like that kind of dark sense of humor because that was pretty dark senses of humor and slapsticky and funny. So yeah, I definitely have had that my whole life.
I think that is my life.
But how do you remember them? I can never remember a joke. Is it just repetition, or?
It's part repetition. It's funny. I remember when I was coming up, a friend, I had started doing 30-minute sets, 25, 30-minute sets back then. And a friend that was at the same level of me was asking me, how do I remember 30 minutes of jokes? And I said, well, two things. One, you wrote them. So it's not like, you know, it's different from me remembering like a monologue in a play or something. These are from my life. I experienced them and I wrote the jokes for it. And then two, they're from your life. You know, for me, they're personal things. They're personal rants or complaints that I've turned into jokes. So it's just going on stage. And once I start into something nowadays it's easier than it was back then. But nowadays, if I start down a path of talking about something, one joke will flow to another. And they may not be verbatim how I told it last show, last night, last week. And that's fine for me. I don't like it too stilted. But once you find your way, it's kind of like muscle memory takes over. And again, you wrote it. It was your idea. It was your concept. So once you start into it, you just let it go where it was going to go anyway. As long as you remember the punchline, you're pretty good.
Do you, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, when he said that, have you had that moment where you did have a brain cramp?
Oh, 100%. Most notably, the 2 shows that I filmed for my special, halfway through each night, I went off kind of the set list I was going to do, and I made like an offhand joke in the moment that night, and then I immediately tried to get back into my set list and was just blank on I don't know what I'm supposed to be saying now. And so if you can remember it quick enough, you can come out of it and just pretend like you were taking a sip of water or so on. But I think both of those nights I said this is probably not the best time to do this, but we're going to edit it out anyway. So you guys know I messed up, but nobody else will. I mean, now they do. But yeah, so it happens, and you can own it. I think the reality, the best thing is owning it on stage, because the audience isn't dumb, and if they see you up there kind of fumbling a little bit, just live in that moment of this is happening. We're all in this moment together. We'll get through it, and it may be funny and it may not, but sometimes things aren't funny. And Chris had a question, and what does he say? Would you agree with the statement? Being a good stand-up comedian is a different skill set than being a truly funny person. Yes. Can they be one and not the other? Yes. I know stand-up comics that are not great in the moment. Again, they have their set memorized. They know how the joke's going to go, and they do that same joke verbatim every time. And then I know people that are great for, hey, this just happened and I'm going to riff on it for a little bit. We're going to talk about it a little bit. And even in everyday life, you have that friend who, when you say something, they're quick-witted. Quick-witted is different.
Yes.
But I think when it comes to stand-up comedy, we all learn how to structure, write, and tell a joke. And once you train your brain how to do that, your everyday observational stuff, when you see something, your brain's now breaking it down into that kind of segment of how do I take this on stage? This is how I would tell it. And yeah, there's quick-witted, and then there's really great structure. Funny enough, Jim Norton from the Tampa Bay area. Chris has opinions on Jim Norton, and so and we'll get into Gloria's comment next. But yeah, Jim used to be really good at stand-up. I think the more you do, like maybe podcast or radio, you get into that banter stuff. Oh, and let's go right for getting to know each other better. But yeah, I think sometimes people get into getting out of the telling jokes on stage and getting into just the conversational stuff, and then they kind of lose that. But Jim's making another run. I think he's probably got another special coming out. He's talking a lot more personal stuff, I've noticed. I say Jim like I know him. I don't actually know Jim Norton. I just know he's from the Tampa Bay area, and I pretend like we're colleagues.
You're neighbors, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, basically, yeah. And then thank you, Gloria. Despite most people finding you unattractive, that I'll be okay. Don't give up. I think what's important on that is how she found the need to say most people find me unattractive. I like the qualifying statement, and that's very helpful, Gloria, to know how many of the people find me unattractive, but you. So thank you for qualifying
live
that.
show. You can't control the live show.
No, I love it. This is fantastic. And I don't know, I put the chat stream up on my screen, and now I'm focused on it. I want to answer every question that comes in, and I will. And Gloria misses the comedy of Kathy Griffin. Funny enough, I just tried to, she's coming into Tampa Bay. I just sent email over to trying to open for her, and it did not work, and I will not be doing that. But it's because she does an evening with, and she doesn't have an opener, so that's fine. But speaking of difference between quick-witted, able to tell us storytelling, and maybe the different structure of setup, punchline, stand-up, Kathy, very quick in the moment, very good storyteller, less of the setup, punchline, stand-up comedy, but it's just a different style, and not for everybody, and great for some people. I like her.
You know what? I have autism, so I can tell jokes, but sometimes I don't get jokes, and especially sarcasm is way over my head.
Sure.
How do you deal with like those critics or those people that just don't get it?
Well, I always think about it this way. I realize that I don't like every comedian I see. So therefore, not everybody's going to like me, which is absolutely fine. Yeah. And the other thing that I think we mistake is like people go out to a comedy show and they treat it as if all comedy is the same, right? So they're like, let's go see a comedy show tonight. And then they'll just go to a club and see a comedy show without doing any research on who's going to be there. And that would be like if you were like, hey, let's go listen to music tonight. And then you just go to a concert.
That's true.
And then you're like, I hate country music. Why is this? And then blame the band for playing country music. It's like, well, no, that's what they do. So,
and I mean, like you get somebody sitting next to them that maybe loves it.
Yeah.
You know.
So that happens to comedians a lot, where people are just like, let's go see comedy. And then they get there and they're like, this isn't the style I like. And it's the comedian's fault. And I'm like, well, it's not really.
Not really. Yeah.
Oh. Randy wants to know what you think of Jeff Dunham.
Oh, I mean, listen, none of these people are booking me, so I'll be honest about them. I think Jeff Dunham has done a wonder. If you don't know, Jeff Dunham is the comedian who does the puppets. He's famous for the puppets. He's also, I want to say, the highest grossing comedian of like the last 3 years.
Wow.
The guy makes massive bank out in Las Vegas. I'm not a huge fan of the puppet comedy, mainly because most of the comedians that use puppets use it to tell jokes they'd never be allowed to say otherwise, and then blame it on a puppet.
Quantify. Yes.
Yeah, they're like, I would never say this word, but the puppet would, and that's a bit of a crutch and a way around things I don't love. It's a bit of laziness to comedy, in my opinion, saying things that you would never be okay saying and blaming it on a puppet. But I think Jeff is smart. I think Jeff has done great for himself. I have not bought a ticket to a Jeff Dunham show ever. But I mean, like growing up, I watched him. I watched him on Comedy Central. I get what he's doing, and good for him. He found the lane, and he's doing it.
Yeah. I grew up on Mr. Bean. That was my favorite. And he didn't hardly speak.
No. Talk about somebody who's done well for themselves. That actor, Rowan Atkinson, has done well for himself.
Yes.
We have here in Atlanta the Redneck Comedy Tour.
Yeah.
And I've been out and seen a couple of them in town, and they're totally different. So it's that persona. So.
Yes.
Chris says, Jeff, I'm not blowing smoke here, but you've made me laugh to the point half higher than Bert has since hearing machines.
Well, we have the same body shape, but I could possibly be funnier. Also, Bert Kreischer from Tampa Bay area. I'm just going to keep telling you who's from my area, as they're more successful than me so far. But,
so far. That's the
maybe it's something in the water. You need to drink more.
Yes. I should probably hydrate more. That's my skin's telling me that.
Being down in Florida, you have a lot of venues, but you have you have a baseball team there. You have a football team. You have a hockey team too, don't you?
Absolutely. We have an award. We have a championship hockey team. Yes.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, you've got,
yes,
it's not like it's middle of nowhere. So.
No, I mean, yeah. And that's the funny thing about Florida. Like, there's a ton of places for me to go do comedy. That being said, people forget Florida's like, I don't know, like 12th biggest state. Also, I was educated in Florida, so I could be very wrong on that. Actual facts, not in our textbooks. But it's one of those that it's annoying. Sometimes I'll drive to a venue in Florida, and I will drive 5 hours and change a time zone and still be in Florida on my way to a venue, and that bothers me. That shouldn't happen in one state. That's too much driving allowed in one state. I don't like it at all.
It is very long. So
if you think about it, it's like time travel.
Yeah, it is. It's time travel that I don't like keeping up with.
No. It's confusing.
And thank God our phones do it for us now. So
yes.
Yes.
It's one thing if you're going between states, that at least makes sense to me. I've driven across country and that's made sense. Okay, I'm in a different state and it's a different time zone now. I can get on board. I shouldn't change time zones and be in the same state. That's a problem.
Yeah. Randy says he worked with Artie Fleischer and I worked together in Tampa. And some nights he was better than other nights. Is he still around? I did not know he worked with
Could Artie's from Tampa? I don't know. Artie Fletcher is still around. Actually, I know he was trying to open up a comedy club in St. Pete not too long ago, 5 some years ago. I haven't seen him, worked with him, or heard of him, but a lot of my friends that have been in the industry slightly longer than me know him well. And but I can't tell you what I think he's still around. I've recently heard his name in the last couple of years, so I'll say he's still around.
Do you still keep up with, it's like when high school you graduate, do you have friends that you started with, you keep up with, or everybody spreads out, or?
That's the fun, weird thing about comedy that's kind of interesting is, you start out in like let's say a class of similar comics around the same time. So I started 11 years ago and there's people that started 10 to 11 years ago. Yeah, I know Chad Zumach pretty good. Sorry, Chris just asked if I've ever worked with Chad Zumach. He is back in Tampa. He lives in the area and I know him pretty well. We work at the same clubs. I have not worked with him, but I know him personally. As you get more into comedy and you stay in it and you get better and you start doing more and then you start headlining places, and it's funny, all of your friends that you came up with, there's on any show there's typically a host, a feature, and a headliner. So there's 3 comics. Well, the 3 of you can't be on the same show typically. So as because you're both headlining now or something like that. So as you get longer in comedy, you mainly see your friends that you started with on flyers at the comedy clubs for when they're coming in. So you kind of keep up with them. You take a picture and send it to them, or they signed a wall at a club you're performing at, and you check in, how you doing? So basically, I get to see a lot of my friends whenever there's a comedy club in Tampa called Side Splitters, and I absolutely love them. They're one of the top 5 clubs in the U.S., if not top 10 easily, top 5 probably. They're great. But they do a benefit show anytime a local comic has an issue. So a comic his house just burnt down due to faulty wiring. So 4 of us went and did a show there. Otherwise, all 4 of us would be headlining elsewhere. But it was nice to be on a show with these friends that I don't get to see often. And then a bunch of other comics come in to support. So much like in everyday life, you start seeing your family at weddings and funerals, and then the weddings stop and you're just seeing people at funerals. The same thing with comedy. We just see each other at the tragedies when there's a benefit show, and then we catch up and you ask how things are going, and then you make fun of the person who the tragedy is about. It's the dark humor thing.
Kick them while they're down.
It'd be too easy otherwise.
Yeah. Oh, you don't want them to kick back.
Maybe you're trying to get them to kick back. Get their heart rate up a little.
Yeah.
When you go to these places, some are probably better than others.
Sure.
We're talking about Tampa is probably one of the betters. Have you been to some of the older ones that you were like, man, I always wanted to be here, but now that I'm here, I'm like, this is not what I thought it was.
There's definitely a few places that, I mean, that's the other interesting thing is people do comedy anywhere, like quite literally anywhere. So when I was coming up through the ranks, I went to go host a show for a chain of comedy clubs, and they'll put comedy shows anywhere. And this was at a biker bar in Daytona. So I drove across the state, and you know how I feel about driving across the state. So I drove across the state. It was at a biker bar, probably not my demographic at all for my comedy. And I was hosting, so I was doing a small amount of time. And the headliner was a magician who got who a blind guy made a better joke during the show than the magician did. And the blind guy was like, I saw that joke, that trick coming. And it was like, oh man, put him on stage. And then, you know, as a host, they're not putting me up in a hotel. So, you know, show finishes at 11. Now I'm driving back across the state with my $50 I made and watched a comedian get upstaged by a blind guy in a biker bar and just thinking, what am I doing with my life? What am I? So every comedian has had a show that you leave going, why am I doing this? What am I doing? And then occasionally we have shows that it's absolutely a blast, and you can't believe that this is called work. And somebody's flown you out to headline an event in Delaware, and they're paying you a bunch of money. You get to hang out with people all weekend, and you're like, oh, that's why I'm doing this. It's fun. So I always say sometimes we have to work on stage, and sometimes it doesn't feel like work. But even when we have to work, let's be honest, it's not work.
As this podcast, we feel the same way with doing podcasts.
Yeah. Like we've all done other things. This is fine.
Yeah. Some nights it's a train wreck. Others it's great. So yeah.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Same.
But I love it either way. I don't think I would like as much as I bitch. I don't know if you heard me bitch earlier. I was like, I'm going to quit this. I'm going to stop because the stress.
He says this at least 3 or 4 times a week.
I don't think I ever
not going to. Like I hear it at least 3 or 4 times a week. He's quitting podcasting.
I was like, I'm done. These people annoy me. It's computers. Yeah, AT&T earlier this week. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jen. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was just going to say that there's been times, even as a mom, where I'm like, can I sell my kids legally? Is it possible? You know? So I get it. But then the next minute you turn around and they're like, I love you, Mom. And then you're like, I forgot all the bad stuff. You're cute.
Yeah, but see, mine are older. So now when they're saying, I love you, Mom, it's like, what do you want?
Right.
Although my oldest is now 11, so I'm getting a lot of lip from him.
Yeah, but
so
see,
now
my youngest is 14.
Oh, yeah. Mine are a bit younger.
And
I got a 9 and 11.
So I've got a 22-year-old, a 19-year-old, a 15, and a 14. So when they say I love you, it's because they want something, not because they actually mean it.
Yeah. I mean,
they
love
virtual currency.
They love what you can do for them. That's still love.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's now that it's a commerce. You know, it's give and take.
Yeah, Mom's turned into a business.
Yeah,
you know, my oldest son said, "Mom stands for made of money."
Wait till they learn what money is, and then having to make it.
My 22-year-old is learning that very fast.
We all learn it fast. I found out.
You know what? I'd rather them asking for money than using Mom as a tissue paper. So
you're in those ages,
the tissue than the money.
Yeah.
I've got a grandson.
I don't know. My kid gave me pink eye, poking me in the eye. It gave me pink eye. I did not like that one either. I'd rather give him money.
I've got a grandkid living with me now, and love him to death. But I swear to God, that little creature gets more viruses than anything I've ever met in my life, and they all go straight to me. Bypass everybody else.
That's the only thing they share. Yeah.
I was a paramedic for 30 years. Had the immunity of it was great. I could walk naked into a place with all kinds of TB and listeria and all this. I'm fine. Come here, little 5-year-old gremlin takes me.
One kid around you is all it takes.
Yes. No, they test you mind, body, and soul.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, I was going to ask you, when you go into different places, like, because you mentioned you went to a biker bar and stuff, if you're going to a different state, or in Canada, we have provinces and stuff, and they have different cultures, different mentalities and stuff. Do you kind of research the area before you go?
So, no, that sounds like I should, though. I will tell you, one of the things I started doing very early on when I got more confidence in it is, I think I've been lucky because I live in a beachy area in a tourism area. So in writing my jokes as I came up, the crowd was always changing. It wasn't the same people all the time. And these people, I was doing a lot of my comedy on the beach. So it's a lot of tourists on the beach. So I started doing comedy for Midwest people a lot. There's a lot of Ohio people that come in down to Florida, Northerners, people from Canada, and local Florida. So I had to learn how to write jokes that would work for anybody that was in that crowd. And then, so when I started traveling, one of my excitements for trying to get out and do a comedy festival here or go try to do a show here was, do my jokes work other places, right? So I had a friend of mine reach out to me, and he was doing 2 theater shows in Michigan, where he's from. And he said, "Hey, would you come up and open for me at these 2 theater shows?" And I was, my answer was yes. Between the flight and everything, I wasn't going to make a ton of money, but I wasn't negative for doing it. And then my thought was, I've never done comedy in Michigan. Let's see how my comedy works in Michigan. And so, flew up and did the shows, and it worked well, and made some new friends and got some new followers. And so it, to me, has always been an interest. I've always been curious. I used to work for hotels when I was really learning comedy, and they would send me to other cities to help their hotel. I would kind of go in if there was problems and help out some. And I love doing that because I got to Kansas City and Minneapolis, and let's try comedy here and let's see how my jokes work. And they kept working in city to city. And I look back and I realized that that's probably because I came up doing comedy for tourists, and I had to write for anybody that was in that crowd, and I had to learn how to make it so it works on a wider cast, as opposed to it's the same people from the same town coming in all the time. And I think that can happen in other cities and in other states. And so just being convenient about where I grew up and came up from. Real quick, I just want to answer my outlook on Larry the Cable Guy. Larry is, by the way, Larry from Orlando, Florida. Larry is deceptively smart. Larry was a radio guy in Orlando, Florida, Smiling Dan Whitney. And then he had a character named Larry the Cable Guy, by the way. And the character took off, and that's who Larry the Cable Guy is. FYI, not his real name. I'm blowing his cover here. What you going to do, not hire me? But Larry is apparently a very nice guy. He's actually produced a friend of mine, 2 of my friend's albums on his label. And if you listen to his jokes, he's saying it in that accent and playing into kind of this stupidity. But when you listen to some of his jokes, they're actually pretty clever, annoyingly clever, that it's wait a minute, is Larry smart? And he might be. So that's my opinion of Larry. I had also pitched a joke to him that could have been on his last special. And my other opinion of Larry is I started watching the special, and I didn't get far enough to see if my joke had made it in there. So I respect him. He's done a good job, and he's deceptively smart. I did not finish the special personally. Just, again, not my style for me. But another Florida guy. So
I get to meet Ron White as a paramedic. So.
Oh yeah, Ron again, another smart guy. Yeah.
Yes. I'll just leave that story there. The show had to go on. We'll just leave it there. But
what did he have up his butt? I'm just kidding. I'm just just a guess on Ron. He's a drinker.
Yeah. His jet. Yeah, well, I was a flight medic too. His jet was hangared where our jets were, so we would often see him. And he was always on, I guess, but he was also all inebriated all the time.
I used to always say that when I worked in hospital, I always see people at their worst. So I never actually met anybody famous, but if I did, I would be seeing them at their worst.
Right, yeah.
Well, I met
That's fair.
Vulcan, and it was at his worst.
Yeah.
You can pay taxes.
No, this was when I was younger. I mean, think back to like early 2000s, him going through Oklahoma.
How old was he at the time?
I don't have a clue.
I know. I was thinking
he was
the same
older
thing.
than me, like 2004.
Oh.
All right, he's about my age, so that put him around
September of
24.
2004.
Okay.
He got
I feel like
pulled
you're
over
hinting at something,
in
and you have to
Oklahoma.
remember I'm Florida educated, so
He got pulled over in Oklahoma with a lot of stuff in his car.
okay.
Well, I kept Willie Nelson from getting arrested in downtown Atlanta because the young cops didn't know who he was, and they said he's high as a kite, and I'm like, yeah.
You
Like,
like
we
that?
got marijuana in there, yeah.
You should have arrested him if he wasn't high, because that's somebody impersonating Willie Nelson.
That's like him and Snoop Dogg. They're always high.
Right.
Yeah, as a paramedic, I was lucky to meet several people, but yeah, I had to keep him from getting arrested because this young cop had no idea who he was. Yeah, who the hell's this old guy?
See, you had a lot more interesting life than I did. I just got proposed to on a nightly basis by people that were so drunk they didn't remember it the next morning.
I don't think I ever had that. Well, no, I did have this one time, but she once again was, well, she worked on the street. We'll just leave it at that. So, you know, and Jeff, I was thinking about it. As a paramedic, I have to be able to go in and instantly either click or I'm either the good guy or the bad guy, and
Right.
you have to feel the room. And sometimes you're just totally wrong. I mean, you walk in and you're like, I got this, and then boom, suddenly it's wrong. So
I'm just going to throw this out there. I believe she did most of her work off of the street, just so we're clear.
that's possible. That's possible. She could have
You
worked
know,
representing our
I
verticals.
have a client who is a famous OnlyFans model. Well, OnlyFans person. And for confidentiality, I can't say her name, but she gets quite a bit of write-offs.
They can make money. Yeah.
She makes lots of money.
It's the next up and coming career, it sounds like.
I just did a story about an OnlyFans model on my news show. Some football player apparently is very well endowed, like 2 Coke cans. And that is making the rounds on social media as the butt of I don't know, the joke. And I'm like, 2 Coke cans. Wait a minute. I had to go get a visual for that. So it wrecked the OnlyFans job. I'll just leave it at that.
Right. I'll tell you. I'll tell you a fun story about when I used to bartend. I used to bartend at this little like neighborhood gay bar in a downtown. And speaking of women of the night, I worked like daytimes there. I started my shift at I worked 12 to 7. So anybody that was coming in had a problem. And so I would get some afternoon people in, and a lady of the night would occasionally, lady of the day, she was a daytime worker, would come in. And because she was so well known and we just knew who she was, and we knew sometimes she would ask me to start her a tab, and then she would leave and then come back and pay the tab. And I never really wanted to handle the money that she gave me, but it was like, I know I know how you got this money. Like, there's not a question that all of a sudden you have $50 on you. Like, we know where that came from. This isn't the head. You didn't win a scratch off this afternoon.
You know, it's
You
funny.
wash your hands before and after.
Yes.
The people who put like money in their mouth and stuff, when I see them, I'm like, have you ever wondered if that's been in a stripper's butt crack?
Because they all have
And
been.
then
Everybody listening know that.
They do this, and they're like,
all right, here in the
I
South,
wasn't, but I am
money.
now.
Yeah, in the South, the bra money during the summer.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it's nice and warm and damp.
Oh boy!
At a little gas station I used to work at, it said, "We will not take money from your bra or crevices of your body."
Good
I used
standards.
I used to do mammographies, and they I would never handle money that's been in a bra either.
I just don't like handling money in general anymore.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, how many people actually carry money anymore? I had somebody come up to me in a parking lot asking for money, and I said, I don't carry money with me. That's like, oh, well, I have a Square card. And I'm like, really?
How to know your audience.
And then after you do that, there's a please add a tip function.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Go to McDonald's. For what?
Thank you for giving me money on the street. 20%? 25%?
Yeah, exactly right. When it gets to 50%, I might never leave the house anymore. I'm waiting for the days when you go and do the automatic car, enter in your PIN or whatever for the car to fill up your car with gas. Sorry, I can't
right.
think to talk. And it asks for the tip.
Oh yeah, I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, no kidding. And see, sometimes like this, the jokes just write themselves.
They write themselves. I'm telling you.
Look at yourself and you go, why is the McDonald's guy wanting a tip? So,
yeah.
Well, one of the things I'm going to give you some extra time to think about this, because I'm sure you have a great paranormal story or some kind. One of the things we always ask our guests is, have you ever had any paranormal experiences or seen Bigfoot or Nessie or something?
All right. I came prepared, and I have multiple stories. I'll let you choose which one, or just take all of them. I don't care. One is an instance within my family that I got to witness. And then another is I used to work at a very famous haunted hotel on St. Pete Beach. It's on the registry of haunted hotels. And I've heard multiple stories from people that worked there that I knew. And then I got to see one thing while I was there. So I'll tell you the real quick family one is my mom. I don't know what to call it. We'll say a touch of The Shining, for lack of a better term. But her side of the family has always said something paranormally type thing. Like, she was a nurse, but she got investigated once because apparently she'd keep going up and down the floor and being like, they're dying tonight. But like with a little bit too much confidence that eventually they had to look into her, but she just kind of had the feeling and knew. And that carried through to my Aunt Bet passed away. I remember being a child. We had the phone hanging on the wall type thing. And the phone rang, and I got up to go, answer it and take the long cord, blah, blah, blah. And as I got up to go to the phone, before I picked up the phone my mom just goes out of nowhere. She just says, that's your grandmother calling. Your Aunt Bet died last night. And I was like, that's a specific guess of who's on. There's no caller ID. She's not even in the room that the phone's at. I pick it up, and it was my grandmother. And she said, can I talk to your mom? I give it to my mom. My mom very calmly after, she was like, yep, your Aunt Bet died. I said, how did you know that? She goes, oh, while I was sleeping last night, she came to the corner of the bed and she told me she passed away. And I have no point to argue with that because she clearly called that phone call perfectly. So there's that. And then at the hotel I worked at, the famous historic pink hotel on St. Pete Beach that's haunted, I'm not going to say names, but there's a lot of clues right there. It was built in 1928, to be specific. And it was a convalescent house. It was the guy who built it, passed away on property. He wanted to give it to the employees, but it went to his wife instead before he could sign the will. He died. He haunts it. There's great stories about that. Anyway, one time his picture was taken down and being cleaned, and there's a long thing about him that he was very vain. Whenever his picture got moved from a restaurant, weird things would happen in the restaurant. And so his picture was taken down from the hallway and it was being cleaned and it wasn't up. In that time, one of the cocktail servers that I worked with when I was lobby bartender, she talked about putting all of the candles and like a little votive candle things. And then they had like the electronic lights on them. So she put them all out, turned all the lights on. And then when she got to the last one, she looked and they were all off. And she was like, I'm pretty sure I turned them on. And then she did it all again and they were all off again. And she was like, no, they're just going to stay off. I'm not playing. And then that night, I worked the next day. I didn't work with her that day. The next day I came in, and that night on security footage in our smoking area outside, I'm going to try and do this with my finger. I'm trying to figure out where the camera is. There was like a glowing orb caught on camera. So the security team showed me the security footage. And instead of like it, a little like dust particle caught some light and it would just float, right? That's in theory what would happen. That's not what this happened. It was a little glowing orb and then it did this. It did straight, down, straight. Like it made right turns. And went under a table and made 3 right turns. And so I got to see that security footage and I was like, well, that's weird. And then it dawned on me that she had told me about the lights thing. This weird little orb was happening. And I was like, oh, his picture's missing. And he's being all ornery because his picture's not here. And he's being vain because we don't have his picture up somewhere. So those are the 2 paranormal stories I have. Both I've gotten to experience. One was just a very interesting video. I can't explain a little glowing particle making right turns in the air in the middle of the night. And then the other one, it's a strong guess from my mom from the other room to be able to call and be like, somebody's dead and that's your grandmother telling me. And I'm like, oh, okay, who am I to argue with? Yeah. She showed up at your bed and just told you. So, yeah, those are mine.
Wow. So I take it you're a believer in these things.
So yeah, I am. I'm definitely. It's funny. I went to college for psychology and pre-law, and I found it very interesting when I was working on the psych degree that they teach you in psych. Well, at my college, they taught us about the sixth sense, and they taught us about that there's a plane of existence that maybe we can't perceive. That does kind of unite. And that was, I'm in college hearing this in an academic class, but there was enough empirical evidence to speak on it, per se. It's psychology, so it's a lot of guessing. It's a lot of different people guessing different reasons things happen. But I found that interesting. So I think there's definitely things beyond what we're tuned in to see and know. So on the spiritual stuff, I will say, yes, I'm a bit of a believer on that. What are there's the difference in weight. I'll take it to the nurse right there that when somebody dies, there's a difference in weight, allegedly the spirit weighs like 0.03 pounds or something like that. I think there's enough, some type of evidence out there that says there's something happening beyond what we can see a lot of the times, and sometimes it cracks through. But as for a lot of the other stuff, I don't know. Well, I'm not a no on anything, because like even when I remember hearing ghost stories at the hotel and like closing down my bar at midnight and looking around being like, oh, this is when the ghost is supposed to come out. And then I'm looking around trying to see one. And then my head goes, well, what am I going to do if I see it? I don't want to see the ghost. So like, that's where I'm at on it. Like, I'll believe it, but also I don't want the proof of it. Me seeing proof is not going to enrich my life at all. I'm going to ruin underwear. Like, none of that works. Yes. So it's easier for me to believe it and not have to see it proven, because proving it's not going to make my day better.
True. It's going to give you some good stories.
It will, but I'm good on stories for right now.
It'll be like later on you'll tell them.
Yeah, when I start running low on material, start showing yourselves ghosts, and that'll be fine. But until then, I got a lot I'm writing right now. I'm good.
Yes.
Jeff, I know we got a late start, so I appreciate you for putting up with this. Chris says if I would be terrified of your mom.
That's why I don't answer her text messages anymore. All right.
There you go. Now we know the answer.
Must keep changing your number.
Yeah, I don't know how she keeps figuring it out.
She figured it out. Now we know.
Yeah. Stupid ghosts keep ratting me out.
She's got a whole army. So do you have anything coming up here soon?
Yeah. I mean, I've always got shows coming up. If people just go to thatjeffisfunny.com, you'll see all of my shows listed. I'm going to be going out to Texas soon. I've got a bunch of stuff in Florida, New York, etc. I have a special on Amazon called Fatty Gay. So, but yeah, go to thatjeffisfunny.com. It's got all my information. And if you follow me online, I'll appreciate it. If you follow me on Instagram, say hi and tell me that you're following me from this, and I'll appreciate it.
Cool. Yeah, we will put that in the show notes afterwards. So yeah. If I have any. So I got them typed. But Jeff, will you come back and visit with us again? This seemed like this went by like boom, like gone.
I'd be happy to. I've always got new things coming up. I'd always be happy to talk to you guys. You guys were fun, and thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for taking the time out of the evening. We appreciate it, and
absolutely
putting up with the technical difficulties.
No worries. Thank you very much, and I will bow out like Roger Clemens did in the early 2000s. I'm guessing at the time that he finished baseball, but thank you to all the questions from the people in the chat too. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Absolutely.
Bye. That was great. I was worried since we started off late because of the technical whatever. So thank you for putting up with this. Let me push the button here for Dare Talk Radio. Radio Talk, just Australia. So.
Broadcasting across Australia on Dare Media Group radio stations. This is the Sportcat Show, uncovering secret chapters, strange encounters,
and the occasional technical mishap.
On that note, I'm going to go because
you said you weren't feeling well, so yeah. All right. Well, Harley, thank you for being here. And I apologize we're running late, and we always have two guests. Sam is with us. She's been backstage and been very patient. I want to bring her out. She's an author, so Jen, you will appreciate her. And first off, Sam, I want to apologize. I hit open the studio and then it was just gone. I don't know what happened.
I think you're still muted, Sam.
But yeah,
just trying to be good. All right, hey everyone, sorry about that. Yeah, no, I'm just waiting patiently, just enjoying the conversation, listening, and all right.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, because like I said, I went to start the show and it just went bye-bye. I have no idea. This has been a weird week for the internet and computers. I don't know if that's. I don't know.
My mouse is acting all funky. I try to just click on one thing and it highlights everything on my screen, and it's like hands off. Like, okay, I'll leave you alone. Don't.
Maybe all the technology is rebelling against us.
It's possible.
It's a scary thought.
Anything's possible, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Atlanta on Monday night into Tuesday, AT&T internet went down, fiber. It was for the whole city. And they were like, we don't know why. I'm like, squirrel. So
somebody's driving. They pulled the plug.
That's on something, I guess.
Right.
So
I may or may not have to go get water. But
we work with you because you've been patient with us. So you're an author. You've written, I think I saw almost 40 books.
I've contributed to some of them was just a chapter, you know what I mean? But they're definitely I've been doing this for a long time and have my name on a lot of books. And The Prodigal Son is my baby. That's the one that just came out January 1st. So I'm excited to tell you about that. And from what I hear, some of that paranormal stuff will fit in really well with what we're talking about.
Yes.
So
I'm excited.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Well, to me, if I got a punctuation in there, I'd be taking credit. So, because
Right.
the Mrs. Kashansky would definitely be proud of me for my English. She was my English teacher, so she'd be like, "Oh,
Nice.
you
Yeah,
finally did
exactly.
something right." So
You're in there. Yeah. Well, for about 2 years, I was interviewing people and writing their stories from first person. And so that was my job. It was a freelance gig. And I had like basically one chapter per book. So there were, I think, 19 books that I had just one chapter in. And I mean, it was significant. My name was in there. But when you say contributed to, it's like when people ask me how many books I write, I kind of get all tongue tied because I don't know how to answer that. Because I have like books that I've co-authored, books that I've written, but they're not published, books that I've just like, I wrote a foreword for a couple books, like, I don't know what answer you want from me. Like, how many books am I making royalties off of? Is that so
if you add them all up.
Right. And just squish them together. And
it's like, how many books would it make on average, kind of?
My flagship book, my first book, was about miscarriage, which was not fun. And I didn't really even like talking about that book. Like when people are like, "What'd you write?" I'm like, "I wrote a book about infant loss." Like it just brings the whole room down every time. So but it helped people. It really that one really served to other like moms who'd experienced that. And I heard a lot of feedback like, "Thank you so much for writing your short story and sharing your story." So I'm in this hard space with the prodigal son as well. And I'm excited to start writing fiction in the near future and like get out of this dark, heavy space. So
if this is part 1, right? You still have part 2 coming out.
Maybe people keep asking me that. That's really weird. Like they're like, "Is there a second book?" There's a second book that's Prayers Against Addiction. That's part of the series, but it's not like a sequel, if that makes sense. But people keep asking me what book 2 is going to be. I'm like, I don't want to write book 2 because that's the widow's mite. And that's my story about me crying into my coffee mug, behind the gardening shed. And I don't know if people really want to read that. So,
I bet there is people out there that would love to hear, sometimes they need to hear things that they don't necessarily want to. And I don't know about you, but I started writing because I needed to express myself because I had thoughts and feelings that I needed to put down on paper. And then I share them with other people and then they strike a chord.
Right. And it resonates with them. Or have you found that you can also articulate things that other people can't put into words?
Yes.
So-
I struggled when I was younger. I struggled with learning how to speak to people because I have autism, and that was one of my things. I didn't know. I thought I was missing a script. So I made my own script by watching people and stuff. So, but when I'm writing, I feel like I can communicate a lot better because I'm controlling both sides of the conversations.
Right. And you have time to put your words down and think through them.
Yes.
And yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there are a lot of people out there. I remarried in 2023, but my late husband, who the story is about, died in 2019. So I was a single mom with 3 young girls who were 8, 7, and 5 at the time. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who could resonate with that. And that experience. And like you said, I could articulate that pretty well for them, but I don't know if I want to do that right now.
When you're writing something that's so deeply emotional and that you're connected to, it's like you're going through this trauma over again. Do you feel that kind of 100%. Resonates with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The miscarriage book was cathartic. This prodigal son, crackhead to Jesus freak felt like a Horcrux. Like Harry Potter, my soul in it, like it stole a piece of my soul to write it. So I'm glad it's done. I used to have PTSD from phone calls. Like something bad is going to, someone calls, it's something bad happening. And I'm getting that again. I'm like, no, it's just, everything's fine. Everything's fine. So it's kind of putting me back in that space a little bit, but
yeah,
for what I like, the people who are saying it's helping them, it's worth it to.
Yes.
Yeah. Feel one person. That's what they say. So
right.
The butterfly effect.
Yeah, it does take a lot of courage though to write your story. I mean, even I don't write nonfiction. I write fiction, so mine's like completely fantasy and that. But I
That sounds
feel like
marvelous.
yeah, because I feel like I have a lot more control, but I really don't because the story writes itself. So I'm just along for the ride.
You're
But
a pantser? Yeah.
what? Sorry.
A pantser?
Oh, I'm a little more of a, hybrid, a little
Okay.
bit more now, but
Okay.
yeah, I was very much a pantser. I leave areas open where I can just let my story fill in the blanks and stuff. But you can't help but put a little, like, even writing fiction, you can't help but put a bit of yourself into your characters and you live vicariously through them. So it is like living it out again.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the term pantser and planner at all?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it one of the authors introduced me to it. I was like, "What? Is that a club?" Is
Yeah.
that-
I'm a pantser. Yeah. I'm a pantser.
yeah.
You know, whenever I hear pantser, I always think like, that old rhyme they used to say, liar, liar, pants on fire.
Yeah.
I don't know why that always comes to my head whenever somebody says pantser.
I was like, "Do you get a jacket for this? What is?"
It's like golf.
Yeah, exactly. I love reading when to go to sleep, but here lately I've determined a lot of, I mean, not to put me to sleep, but to relax before sleep.
Right.
I've determined
Depends
I've
what you read.
changed that as I've gotten older because now I'm moving into the book and it's a weird feeling waking up like, okay, I was just there. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I feel like I literally was a chapter in the book. And so I was like, okay, I've got to stop reading before I go to bed because that next thing
So
you know,
you start dreaming the plot, like dreaming that
Yeah.
you are in the plot.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really
Yeah.
weird. I thought it
I
was
do
just
the
this
same
one
thing.
author, and he wrote vampire. He wrote vampire history. Basically, he started with his vampire way back, and he's going all through time because vampire lives forever, and he's telling history while he's doing it, and he's mixing it up with the vampire group and all this. I had to stop reading it because I'm like, I'm too into this. At night, I go to sleep and I dream I'm a vampire or something. So no, I got to stop.
I was going to ask which character you show up as. Are you like the person being killed or the vampire? Or
I was the vampire. Yeah.
Usually in those kinds of dreams, if I do that, I'm myself trying to survive the story.
Well, you've said that all of your characters want to kill you for some of the things you've put them through. So
Yeah, I have not been nice to my characters, but they're stubborn, so I have to.
That writes a better book. So
Yeah, well, and it satisfies my God complex,
yeah, of course, because you're in control of the whole universe. Yes,
Yeah.
of course. I'm working on a romantic suspense fiction series, and I tell myself my own story before I go to bed. That's kind of like I tell myself bedtime stories, but I just start like working the plot out in my head until I'm sleeping, basically.
Yeah.
So
are you a pantser or a plotter? Oh, sorry.
Answer 100%. Like my characters tell me what's going to happen next as we go.
Yes.
So.
They know a lot more than we give them credit for.
I know it's a little creepy.
It's I've written sometimes where I get into, I call it the zone. And I'm writing, I'm like, oh, my characters are set up here. I don't know what's going to happen. Oh, I didn't know that was going to happen. And I just let it go off on a tangent. And like I've always said, it'll take me somewhere where I'm like, wow, that's amazing. That came out of my head. Or I will have to stop and question my sanity because I'm like, what that came out of my head? So do you ever, do you ever get those in the zone moments?
I do. I mean, for these like the interviews I'm doing lately, I have to keep setting alarms so that if I'm writing and like totally in my head, I don't miss the deadline. Because I'll just write. I'll just start going.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's more fun to live in those worlds, isn't it?
And that's what I was going to say. It doesn't sound like work. You sound
No,
it's fun. It's playtime. Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels really good. So
I know.
I hate writing the villain's perspective though. Like that is cringy to me. No.
They have a lot more fun, I think, than our protagonists, because our protagonists are bound by limitations, whereas the antagonists or the villains, they are free to do whatever they want.
They can do whatever they want. But I know I'm writing good fiction if I cringe when I'm writing it. So like if I'm not cringing, then there's not enough tension in the book. It's kind of a
Yeah. Do you feel like each
Yeah,
chapter has its own emotion
right.
too,
And
don't
it's
you?
just gross. I'm like, oh, I don't like what he's doing right now, but I've got to write it this way. Yeah. So,
Yeah. I always try to see my villains as they weren't born villains. Something changed in their life. And, maybe they're redeemable, who knows? But I try to see things from their perspective as if, what was the trauma that caused them to come to this conclusion in their life?
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in your most recent book, Prodigal Son, to get back, because I know we want to get book sales out
I'm
because it just came out. No, you're good. Well, we're going to take you all over the place, so it's just like it's a round robin. So if I understood correctly, it's a true story for you with your first husband.
Yeah. So my late husband was a crack addict and an alcoholic before I met him. He describes his conversion experience as God hitting him upside the head with a 2x4. And then a few years later, right. And that's how he described it to people. And that's how it was described at his celebration of life service as well, like in his testimony that they read. But he struggled, he battled addiction, and he was sober when I met him, but then relapsed our first couple of years of marriage, which was a really dark time for us. He actually had a moment where he was driving home from Thanksgiving with my family, and I wasn't there. I was actually out in Oregon for visiting some other family, but he had this like demonic face show up in his window, and it was just there, and then it disappeared. But it was just a really dark time for us. And then, like I said, he got sober and became a pastor, but then his mentor passed away and he relapsed. And he relapsed on a Saturday night. So he's supposed to be preaching Sunday morning. And I got a call at 1:30 in the morning. Miss Evans, this is Sergeant Jeremy Reed of the New Ulm Police Department. There's been an accident. Your husband was taken to the hospital. And then 6 hours later, the hospital called and said, we found something on the CAT scan. You need to come in right away. Don't bring your children. And so when they were scanning for broken bones and bleeding, they found stage 4 cancer, which is just like a Chernobyl of, I can't even tell you, like my friends said I was like grayed out for a long time. Like I was just like transparent and invisible. But somewhere along the way, he was like, what are the chances I'd be married to an author who has experience interviewing people and whose best work comes from wounds? I want you to write my story. I was like, oh man, like, please don't ask me to do that. But he was serious. And so we sat down on the couch and we had ice cream sandwiches. I hit the play button on an audio recorder, and I interviewed him and asked him what his story was. And I have 6 hours of audio of him sharing about how he was bullied and became a bully and led to drug use and then drug addiction and like the whole gamut, the whole piece of it. And then the redemption piece at the end as well. So
nice.
That's good. As a paramedic, I've been told by people on this, I'll say the street, and I don't mean they're like homeless people, but people I've been in contact with, that with crack, do it one time and you're addicted. Is that true? Or have you heard that too?
Yeah, no, that's what they say. It's like they call it chasing the first high. Almost every crack addict I've interviewed or talked with, and Clint said the same thing. Like you get that first high and it's the best euphoric feeling. There's nothing compared to it. And then the second time, it's just a little bit, it's like a climax that doesn't reach the top. And then every time you're just trying to reach it, and you can't get there. And so the addiction comes from trying to reach that first high that you experienced. They call it chasing the dragon too.
Yeah. And it has wrecked so many lives, but yeah. And I have found, especially as a paramedic, people you wouldn't suspect. I mean, I had a patient that she literally died in between on her smoke break. She was a waitress. She was in the middle of waiting on tables, and she went to get her fix and almost died. And I'm like, what made you think between, courses here, salad, dessert, whatever. Yeah. But she survived, luckily. But but it just surprises me. And it doesn't, to me, I didn't see a difference if someone had no money or all the money you could possibly imagine. It affected all of them, everybody. It didn't know that demon, as you said, doesn't know anybody or any. It doesn't have
right. It doesn't discriminate, right?
Yeah, discriminate. Yeah, exactly.
I have a perfect analogy for that if you want it. When I was 19 and stupid, and I was a camp counselor, and this cute boy counselor invited me out onto a sailboat. We were in the middle of the lake, and I was like, so how many times have you done this? And he was like, oh, this is my second time. The first time was with other people. So it was his first time manning a sailboat by himself. And I was like, I'm going to die. And then the boat capsized, and I almost drowned. The boat capsized. I had a life jacket on, but it pushed me up under the sail, and there's no air there.
Space.
So, and I knew there wasn't going to be, but I tried anyway, and there wasn't. So then I was grabbing like the fistful of nylon. I was pulling myself, and I finally got to the pole and pushed myself up, and I took that breath of air. In the book, I describe addiction as that need for air. And when an addict gets their hit after being sober for a little bit, that's what it feels like for them. It's like that breath of air. So our oxygen is free, but for addicts, they need it to survive. They feel like they're suffocating without it.
Yeah. That's a very good analogy.
Yes,
for a lot of things, not just addiction, but for a lot of things.
In a horrible first date. So.
Right. There was not a
kind of he fair.
I don't even remember his name. I just he popped up, and I was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And we both heard each other's voices, and you just put your head back in the water.
Good, you're still alive.
I mean, obviously I survived, but it was like,
how much
ask
trouble
questions
you guys
first,
in?
girls. Ask questions first.
Yeah. Yes.
So when you met your first husband, you knew he had a problem, or you did not know he had a problem?
He was totally open and honest with me. So I was a square, straight edge. I went to a Christian college. I had never smoked a cigarette. I still haven't. So he told me that he had been an alcoholic and a crack addict, and he didn't hide anything from me, but I didn't understand what he was telling me. Because he was sober. So I was like, oh, that's in his past. It's done. It's finished. Everything's going to be fine. It was not fine. We moved away from his support network, and I didn't understand how important that was for an addict. He was going to work with quality people who were supporting him and knew his story. He had good friends. He was building his relationship back with his parents because that had been destroyed. And so when we moved away from that, he fell. Like, there were guys from work saying, hey, you should come out to Dave & Buster's and drink. You should go bowling with us and drink. Backyard barbecues. Everyone's holding a beer. So he got sick of saying no to the thing that he wanted to say yes to anyway. And he relapsed. That was pretty rough.
Was it a fast relapse, or was it gradual?
He hit it for me. Addicts don't have an off switch. So I feel like maybe the first couple times he got high, or with weed, he never went back to crack. And he actually told me at one point, if I ever smoked crack again, you and the kids would never see me again. That's how powerful that hold was on him. But he hid it from me for a while. It was manageable for a month or two, and then you just drink more and more and more, is what happened with that. And so there were nights, it's in the book, but there was one night he came home at 3 a.m. with bloody knuckles, and he didn't know how he got home. He didn't know where he was. He didn't know how he got bloody knuckles. I'm picturing like dents in cars or a shattered window or a busted up face. Like I have no idea. I have no idea what happened to him, and to this, like, I'll never know. But then, and then I would find, like, I was doing laundry and I found his shorts under the bed and I grabbed his shorts out and there was weed in the pocket of the shorts. And I was like, this is not the life that I wanted. So there was a lot of hiding. And then he eventually did get sober. But it took some time and some come to Jesus moments and like,
the TI4s.
Right.
Yeah. Well, looking back, could you see, like, before you knew, could you see the signs, like looking back 2020 vision, could you see when it had started?
100%, which is like, you always get mad at yourself. He had been sober when we got married, but then, or right before we got married, I bought a pack of Mike's hard lemonade, just, 6 bottles of lemonade, and he drank 1 or 2 out of the fridge. And I was like, you don't drink. You told me you don't even like Mike's hard lemonade. Like, what? And so I had this moment where I actually had a chance to not marry him. But everything was paid for. We were a few days from the wedding. People were flying in from out of town. I didn't want to be that girl because I wasn't trying to create like a rom-com situation, like I was committed to the decision we'd made. But after that, like when I was I called it living in the dark. When I was living in that darkness, I looked back on those moments and wished that I had made a different choice before our marriage. So that was rough. And that was rough to admit, to be honest with myself.
Yeah. Yes.
Did you ever feel like you could change him?
No. I felt like that was a job for a bigger God, and there were times when I get so furious with him. Like, I don't know. He listened to Michael Jackson when he got drunk. I don't know what that was, but I would come home from work and every single light in the house would be on, Michael Jackson blaring, so I could hear it from like the parking lot of our townhome complex. And I just remember thinking, God, he's your son. You deal with him. And I prayed that over and over and over. God, he's your son. You deal with him. And so that was my prayer life for a couple of years.
You must have loved him a whole lot.
I did. And I had this sense, I had this spiritual sense that God was not done with our story. God was not done with either of us. There was one night, and there's it's awful, but we got in a physical fight when he was drunk, and I had to call the police on my husband. And I remember going into court to drop the charges, and the judge looked at me, and this is in the book, but he looked at me very skeptically. And I was like, he's like, okay, well, I hope I don't see you back here again. And it was like I could hear God saying, this is not your story. This is not how it ends. Like, just kind of trust me. And I was like, you're not going to see me again, sir. And he's like, well, I hope not. I said, thank you. But he was like so skeptical, because that's what happens with people, is they like go into this cycle and then just over and over and over again. But that ended up being our last court appearance until he got into that drunk driving accident. So 9 years sober after that situation. So, there's a little more to it than that. It wasn't like cut and dry, but pretty quickly after that.
A lot of times, the spouse, either male or female, will do that. And as a paramedic, I saw it often. It was so frustrating because I'm looking at it through a total different lens, but you live with the person, you have feelings for the person, you have a checking account with them, everything about you and them are one. And so it's hard. And
it is not black and white. I grew up a very judgy person. Like I in church, I don't know, like I judged other people, judged people for their mistakes or whatever. And then being in that situation changed my heart a lot, because I realized, like, these are the cards I'm holding, and I can see the cards I'm holding, but no one else can.
Yeah.
And that just, it's not as easy, even though you want it to be easy for someone.
I know you were saying, you had mentioned that, you wish you had made different choices and stuff, but if you had, do you wonder if you'd be the same person you are today?
I would not be the same person. And I am strong and resilient. I have 3 gorgeous daughters who drive me crazy.
Teenagers?
But it's like, never mind. But I would not be the same person. And I do appreciate the life that I have now. And I appreciate my ability to be able to help other people walk through this. One of my favorite things about this book is that it's 2 Christians who are being vulnerable about sin. Because I feel like a lot of times Christians are hypocritical, or they hide their sin, or holiness becomes its own idol, or like we're going to act holy or look holy. And that becomes more important than grace. Judgment becomes more important than grace. So my audience is a lot of people who've walked away from the church because they don't like what they're seeing and hearing, or the people that they're interacting with. Like, how are you any different? So I wasn't going out to prove a point or anything, but I wanted to be honest. Like, I face my own judgmental heart within the book. And then, Clint's story is a total train wreck. So,
but you said that he had 9 years of sobriety.
Yes.
Do you think he would have had that had you not been in his life?
No, I don't actually.
So you were probably an influence on him, just like he influenced you.
I think so, because you mirror the person you marry, the person you're with. And so, I mean, he could have been with someone else who was solid, in their solid in life, solid in emotion, or whatever that is. But I think that definitely helped. And then I was working as a youth minister at the time, a youth director. And he was volunteering, and I didn't realize how much that impacted him until we were interviewing and he was telling me those things. But it was the first time that anyone had given him responsibility or trusted him with something important. And it showed him that people looked up to him and that he mattered and he made a difference. So those things started to come into play during those 9 years as well, for sure.
Yeah.
Growing up, my mom was a single mom, and my dad was a functioning alcoholic, and she left. Well, I think they kind of mutually left each other at the same time. And she would even to this day, she'll occasionally say, I could have put up with his drinking. I could have put up with everything, but his womanizing. And I wonder to myself, now as a paramedic, having seen so much, could she really have? You know what I'm saying? She was trying to, because she wanted to, me to have a dad, and she wanted a nice house, and the Ward Cleaver effect, so to speak, the 50s.
And she's trying to justify it too, probably.
Yeah.
And I always tell her the same. I think we did just fine, Mom. I'm not complaining. So
was he still in your life after the split?
Let's see. He showed up when I was like 8. Then he got drunk and left. And then when I was 16, he had a lawyer when he'd sobered up and brought me to Yakima, Washington, where he was working and living. And he had a total relapse meltdown, kidnapped me. So a
little Amber Alert. Yeah. So, and then he got violent. And I wasn't a small kid, and I played a little ball. So we got into fisticuffs, and I ended up getting into it with the Yakima Police Department. And and you were 8 years old at that time?
16, yeah.
16, okay.
Yeah. They were putting me in cuffs, and I was like, hey, can you call my mom? And they're like, where is she? I'm like, well, actually, I'm not even supposed to be here.
How did that play out?
Well, the FBI got involved after that. It didn't work out well for him. But then later on, it worked out. And I saw him. I saw him in Mobile, Alabama. He had went to his father's death. His father was an alcoholic as well, and he had went there and had a heart attack while he was there. My grandfather had passed away, and he had a heart attack and so when I walk in the room in Mobile, Alabama, it's me, my mom, and his wife at the time. And he looks at me, and the first thing he says to me is, "Go to hell." And I'm like, "Oh, you're going to beat me there." And that was the last conversation.
Dad.
Pep talk.
Reminiscent of Boy Named Sue.
Yeah.
Right.
But Yakima police was very nice after I found out I'd been kidnapped. But I tell a lot of people this, and I can relate. I was enrolled in Sela High School for 2 weeks. This is the little high school in the area there. And I told the guidance counselor, I told the principal, I'm not supposed to be here. Nobody listened. And I can see now, looking back, hindsight as an adult, when we always say, well, we should have seen the signs, or we should have said, they were probably right damn in front of you. You never knew it, right. And it was so scary. I mean, I wasn't scared as a boy. I was making friends, doing what boys do, but I knew I wasn't supposed to be there. So.
You were also like, guys.
Yeah. So, and this was before the day of cell phone and stuff. And, I couldn't call Alexandria, Virginia from Yakima, Washington with a quarter. So, but yeah, I think that we did just fine. So it is a resilience, but I do always wonder, Mom, like I said, to this day, she will occasionally pop up. I should have just stayed with him. I'm like, we did fine. Don't kick yourself for it.
Right. So after Clint's accident, we had to deal with like the legal fallout. There was like court stuff that we had to deal with. His job put him on leave because as a pastor, he had a felony fleeing charge. And if that stuck, he wasn't going to be able to stay in pastoral ministry. So I was in constant conversation with the district superintendent at the time and the bishop of the United Methodist Church, and like trying to figure that out. And then the cancer stuff, he started, like, we had a bunch of appointments and chemo stuff, and I held it together for about a month, and then I started fraying and like short temper, couldn't handle it. Yeah, I was like losing my mind. He's like, what do you need? What do you need? I'm like, I need a break. And people didn't understand how close I was to divorce. Like, what kind of woman divorces her husband when he's going through cancer? Right. But I had no time to like process my own stuff. And I was ready to walk out on him. I'm like, you can give me 3 days with a friends at a lake and I can go like process my life, or I'll just go order those divorce papers. Like, I can't handle this. And so, I mean, it's hard. And I'm sure your mom felt the same way. Like, she got to a point where she was just like, I can't do it anymore. And I think that it was important for me to listen to myself. And I'm sure your mom, yeah, I hope she gave herself grace in realizing that she made the right choice.
I think she does. It's just like you said, I think it's a fleeing thing. And she remarried once and that didn't work out. So after that, she was like, yeah, we're just going to be single.
We're done.
I think it was more of a thing. She wished it for me, and which I've got kids now. I understand, you always want your kids to do better. So, but I tell her every time I see her, we did just fine. We may not have had $1 million or the best clothes or the best toys or whatever, but we did okay. And we had each other.
Famous now. You have your own podcast show.
I've got millions of fans now. Strangely enough, they're all in Australia and I've never been there.
So where are you right now, actually?
I am in Atlanta, Georgia. And
okay.
Jade, she's in the Great White.
Yeah, I'm in Southern Alberta.
Okay. I am in South Carolina. Oh. So I'm in
Simpson. All over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah. And her first guest was from Florida. And I was thinking about that Monday when the internet went down and there was nothing. And I'm like, a copper wire gets my voice and the people I'm connected with all the way to the bottom of the world, So
people in Australia don't think it's the bottom.
Well, I mean, on a globe. So unless you're a flat earther, then it's like right over here. I don't know. But
just keep going that way.
Yeah,
Make a left.
Yeah. I think it's the accent.
I know this is kind of off topic, but it blew my mind that other countries would have their country in the center of the maps, and we would be like off to the side. North America would be off to the side, right? It blew my mind.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
You're talking about you're so far north. So is that what you mean?
No, but I like how when we look at a map of the world and we
look at the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're on the other side, like I think I saw a map in it was a documentary, and it was either a Chinese school or a Russian school or somewhere in that area, and their continent was central.
Like the globe was rotated for them.
Yeah. Like their map, that was what the focus was on their map.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't know why. I don't know.
No, when in having traveled around the world, when you say east or west, you get to a certain point and you go, which is which?
Aren't we going the other? If you continue going, doesn't it become the west?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I was in Afghanistan and they kept talking about east. And I'm like, but that's the other side of the globe. I just came from over here. So.
I am east. Wait.
Yeah.
How much more
east? Wait, further east till we hit the water?
Yeah. So, but well, Sam, I'm glad that you lived through this. I hate that you lived through it. I also did time as a paramedic in a chemo clinic. I'm sure you know what that is. And that is so hard on the patient, but I think it's harder on the family. And we used to have hypnotherapists that would come in and he wouldn't hardly ever talk to the patient. He would bring the family in and he would talk to them, and he would tell me that they're going through trauma at a different rate. In other words, like a delayed trauma. The patient, when you're told that you have that, it's like being struck by a train, I'm told. Yeah. And your trauma is delayed behind them, but you're trying to put it together and, like you said, keep it together because hopefully the outcome will be good. But we know a lot of times it's not yet. And so their trauma is today, but yours is tomorrow. Does that make sense? You're trying to stay alive for that one day. And the trick is to keep you going, not going, that's not the right word.
No, I mean, it works. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Keep your spirits up, keep your everything up, because you have to also be there for them, because that's a horrible thing. And then when they start doing the chemo, there's the chemo brain. So it's a lot on the family.
And there's a lot of guilt too from the families because, their family member is going through all of this, but, they feel guilty because they feel like they need something too. They need help as well.
I felt guilt. Right. I didn't go to as many of his chemo appointments as I should have. I didn't go to his first one either. Because we underestimated how sick it was going to make him. And he had family right next to the hospital. We had to drive pretty far to get to the hospital, but he had family right next to the hospital. His cousin was there. So he went to his first chemo appointment and then spent the night at his cousin's house, and his cousin and cousin's wife drove him home. So he had support. It wasn't like I was like, see you later. But I was with the kids. Like it was this, I had this like divided loyalty between wanting to support him, but also like our kids were freaking out and they needed a parent in the home to reassure them that everything was okay. So I deal with a lot of guilt, like not going to as many chemo appointments as I probably should have or could have. Partly, just because I was trying to help the kids, and partly because it was hard. Like all the things I was dealing with, it was just one more thing. And I was actually mad at him for having cancer, which doesn't make sense, but
nope, that's actually
it's a very normal thing. Yeah. I was just going to say it's very normal response.
Yeah. Yeah. We used to say, you're having a normal reaction to an abnormal situation is one of the ways we would try and explain to the family, because they do feel. Now, how old were your kids at the time?
When he was diagnosed, they were 6, 5, and 3.
So
I think
almost old enough to where they can kind of process something bad.
Yeah, and the youngest one, Trinity, is 11 now, and I say her worry button is broken. She has anxiety, and she's on medicine for anxiety because she can't tell the difference between like worrying about something small and worrying about my dad's gonna die, and like there's this.
It's all just fighting tigers.
There's just a lot of that for her. So because she was only 3 and she was like 5 when he passed away, I think I get that all jumbled in my head when I start talking, but they were little, they were itty bitty.
And they required a lot of, they were also young enough, like old enough that they maybe understood something was going on, but young enough that they needed a lot more attention than say my kids at 9 and 11.
Right. And we were super lucky to have just a great support system. There was a man from our church who brought Clint to almost every chemo appointment and sat with him and stayed with him. So we got it figured out, and it was really good. And then at the end, when things started getting worse, then I was the one who went with him more often, and we kept finding babysitters. But I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but I call it a favor capital. And like you only have so much favor capital. So if you have to keep asking people for things, it depletes the people around you. And I felt like we were going to have to use that later. So I was trying to reserve our favor capital, and we ended up using it. But that's in the beginning, I was just trying to reach out like to as many people as possible to like spread the load, like thin ice kind of.
Yeah. Well, kudos to you, because sometimes the hardest thing to do is to reach out for help, because you feel like this is your responsibility. You need to be taking care of yourself. But, we were meant as a species to live in a community and to help each other out.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. In your kids having been come up through a single parent, your kids took on more of it than they probably ever told you. But I sense that you're a well-adjusted, rounded person just from our interaction, that they'll be fine. But we do absorb more than a lot of people ever give us credit for. So, and like I said, when you call for help as a kid and they go, "Nah, you're all right." So that book just came out.
Yeah.
Now let's skip. Well, go ahead. No, go ahead. And where can we get the book, by the way?
Amazon. I mean, it's on barnesandnoble.com and walmart.com as well, but I'm in the Amazon bestseller list right now. Yeah, like the ebook is on the bestseller list for all 3 categories. It's like number 6, 20 something, and number 50 something. So go to Amazon. Keep my numbers up on Amazon.
Absolutely. So, yes. Go buy our book. So let's shift. Wait a minute, hold on, Jen. Did you have any more questions, Sham? I'm sorry. I was going to switch her to ask about paranormal.
No,
stuff.
that's okay. I think I asked all my stuff. So
okay.
Oh,
no,
wow. Time went so fast. What?
I know, right?
I always say we've got like 56 minutes by the FM radio commercials and stuff, and I'm like, it sounds like so long, but some guests you're just drawn in so much, it goes so quick. So. No, that's your job. You're supposed to talk to us.
Right. It's a sport. Yeah.
So tell us some, have you ever had any paranormal experiences?
I have not, like myself, like I have senses of things. There have been times where I'm about to like hit publish or like do something really important. I was trying to publish a book, like hit the button, and the internet went out in our whole like division, our whole housing community. And I was like,
that's
okay,
maybe it's
all
a
right.
sign.
All right, we'll take that. Just work through it. The first experience I ever had with that was when I was younger, like in high school. My mom told me a story about how she had like these like 7 men. Like she woke up in the middle of the night and there were men in black robes standing around her bed, and she couldn't, like her mom was like, praise Jesus, just like all that, she's like, if you ever get in trouble, you just say Jesus' name. And so all my mom could think was like, say Jesus' name. And her tongue was like stuck, like she couldn't speak. And so she finally just like, Jesus, and the men disappeared and she dropped to the bed.
Oh, wow.
So she told me that story and I believed her. And I think my youngest sister inherited some of that like awareness. There was one December where I was driving home from college and I spun off the road and ended up in a ditch. And it was crazy, but I drove over the snow, over cattails, and just got back on the road and kept driving. It was nuts. But then I got home and my younger sister's car, like the hood was teepeed, and the two of them had been in a collision on the same day. So when I walked in, I wasn't going to tell my family about my accident because it was minor. I was fine. The car was fine. Like nothing, there was nothing. So I was just going to kind of keep that to myself. And my youngest sister walked into the room and she said, Samantha, did you spin in the snow with your headlights on? I was like, what? She's like, I had a vision of you spinning in the car in the snow with your headlights on. And then I had to fess up to my family.
Wow. So,
yeah.
Does that creep you out?
No, because I believe in the spiritual stuff. Like people tell me that. And so it doesn't freak me out. The day after Clint's accident, there was like someone who posted that Clint was in jail and it was a fake Facebook account and the person's name was Aunt B. So my friend and I joked that it was Aunt Beelzebub and she was gonna call and like report the account. And when she went to report the account, her phone died and she couldn't get it to charge for 30 minutes. And and then my friend Erin said she had this vision of Satan behind the wheel when Clint was driving the car and like he's the one that got, he was there for the accident, and as soon as the accident happened he was all like neener neener neener, like pointing and laughing. And I never told the judge that, like that's in the book too, like I didn't think that would fly. Like my husband is innocent of all charges after all, Your Honor. It was Satan. But the most poignant, and I can't spoil it, but there's spiritual warfare throughout the book, and the end of the book, there's like a spiritual situation that is incredibly powerful. So I look forward to readers reading that and then telling me what they think.
Absolutely.
So,
do you feel like we're in a spiritual war right now?
I feel like it's always there. I feel like your previous guest was saying, like we're not very far. I feel like the veil is very thin between spiritual and physical.
I was going to say, if you didn't believe it, I was going to say, I definitely do.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes, like you said, things happen and you just got to go, okay, that, right. That made me think.
Right. Yeah. So I've never seen demons or anything like that, but other people tell me they have, and I believe them. And then I just have these things that happen and I'm like, okay. All right. Like after Clint died, there were a couple of moments where I felt like there was a cat jumping on the bed, and we have cats. So it was like a physical enough experience that I like sat up in bed to look for the cat and it wasn't there. And okay. And there was like a guy that was not good for me. We were standing in my driveway, and I ended up breaking up with him. It was like a guy I dated for a little bit, but he freaked out because at one point he was like, I think a cat just brushed against my leg, but there's no cat there. And I feel like it was Clint being like, get away.
A lot of people report with the paranormal a cat. I don't know why that is the case. You were talking about one time where you felt it on the bed. My wife works in an OR. Well, she doesn't now, but she worked night shift. And when I wasn't on duty, we worked 24 on, 48 off. I'd have the whole bed to myself at night. And so me and my dog at the time, Sassy, we just, all snuggled up on the bed. and she was she was a pit bull boxer mix. She was not a small dog, but not big. And so she's on the bed to my right, and I feel like, you know, that feeling when somebody sits on the edge of the bed. And I look over, I thought, well, the dog's about to jump down. And there was an indentation in the sheets, and I hadn't paid attention, but now my dog is on the other side of me with her head on my chest looking over at the same thing. And so I was like, oh, wonder what this is.
Right. Yeah.
When the dogs look, you go, ooh.
Is that what made you want to ask people questions about paranormal? What kind of got you started with that?
Well, mine was Bigfoot, because as a teenager, we had an experience in the woods with a big hairy creature. So that's what got me on that. But growing up, I grew up in a haunted house. I won't say I'm definitely afraid of ghosts, but I'd rather be out in the woods with a big hairy creature than trapped in my bedroom with something I can't see. So, and my mom at one point in time, well, I guess we all were very religious, and everything was demons. And I was still young enough where that left the impression of where it's scary. So I'm not a huge fan, but I have had enough. And you were talking about the devil being in the car with your husband. There's a lot of truth to some of those. I've heard that before. And
I have too.
As a brand new paramedic, my first person to have a heart attack and die in front of me, he lived. I did my job as a paramedic. Beforehand, his color came back. He stopped sweating. He looked great. I was like, what the hell's going on? And he started reaching out to like hug me. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of creepy. And I'm a new paramedic. And, so I'm like, oh, I'm good, trying to, and he's like, no, not you, him. And I'm like, there's nobody else back here. He goes, no, it's Jesus. And I swear, the first thought in my mind was, man, I hope one of us is a paramedic.
No, I've had patients that they're not long for the world. And I had at one point there was a patient and he was very out of it, and he was laying on my x-ray table and he starts reaching up to grab something above him. And I'm, I can't, there's nothing there. And I'm sitting in there thinking, he's seeing something. There is absolutely something there. And sure enough, within 24 hours, he was gone.
Yeah, we used to back the ambulance. No, do not go to the light. Do not go to the light. Do not.
Yes.
Nobody dies in the back of my ambulance. But I think the veil is even thinner when you get close to the end. And I don't know if there's an up and down, a good and bad. I mean, I've had guests on here tell me all kinds of things. We're only going to know when we pass away.
Right.
I mean, we're either going to all of a sudden be like, this is what I thought, or we're just not going to exist.
Well, I'm really looking forward to you reading the books. So you can tell me what you think about all this, like the spiritual stuff I have in there. Cause there's, it's not preachy, but I touch on the spiritual. I don't like shy away from it. I'm just like, here it is. This is what happened, or this is what people said happened. So.
Well, it's important too, to let people know about those type of things, because I don't know. Like you said, preachy. I'm not one that would like go to church or whatever and all that. As a kid, I was, but I still have a belief. And so I think it's good to talk to people and get stuff out there. Just because you go to a building or don't go to a building doesn't make you a good or bad person.
Correct.
So Amazon is this way. And next project coming up, Walmart, Next project?
Next project is The Lakeshore's Secret. It's the romantic suspense, and that comes out March 31st, actually.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
I was writing other books in between The Prodigal Son, because The Prodigal Son took 7 years. I'd write 2 paragraphs and stop writing for 2 weeks. It was, because it was hard content. So in the meantime, it's like writing all these other things.
You have to shift your brain.
Yeah. Exactly. And it was like writing about murder felt like a break,
You didn't drown your boyfriend in the lake by any chance on a sailboat?
I mean, I should write about him. That would be funny. I'd have to remember his name first.
Give him a name.
Same Bob, Fred,
But-
Tom, whatever.
Whatever. Yeah. But yeah, so that one comes out March 31st, and I'm excited about that. My website is loveunedited.com. And so all this stuff is there. I feel like that's really easy to say and spell, loveunedited.com. So,
And for anybody listening, it'll be in the show notes probably tomorrow at this point, but
perfect.
it'll be in the show
I'll give you
notes.
my link tree too, so that that's just everything. Amazon and Ingram's, well, not Ingram Spark. That's the wrong one.
Just shoot it in the email. I'll get it in there.
Ingram Spark is where we publish books. Instagram is where we talk about them.
Yes.
You can tell where my brain is.
If you had one last question, and I've asked Jen this too, if you had to write another genre besides what you've already written, what would you like to dip your toe in?
I mean, I feel like the romantic suspense is what I am dipping my toe into right now. I have this idea for a young adult fantasy fiction series that I've dabbled with. I wrote a couple of the stories for NaNoWriMo. So one day I would like to finish that. But yeah, that's not going to happen soon. There's too many other things. So
Got to pay the bills.
Got to balance everything.
Right.
Well, when the next book comes out, I don't know if Mickey will be able to hook us up. Let me know. I'd like to have you back.
Okay. Thank you.
And we might be able to keep it a little lighter this time. But
yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I didn't. No, I don't want you to feel that way. No, but I know that it pulls on you. It's a trauma. I get it. It's a trauma. Yeah. And when you talk about it, there's a feeling. So yeah.
Yeah. And it's hard for other people. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. It'll be fun to talk about murder then.
Just don't tell my wife. So I don't give her any secrets.
No, don't give her any ideas.
Sure.
Yeah.
There is a reason she watches all these shows on TV though.
Well, who was it that said they write so they don't do?
I don't know.
I think it was Stephen King.
That scares me a little bit. But honestly, the invitation to come back is a compliment, because you wouldn't have invited me back if you're like, no, that wasn't great.
It went too fast.
Thank
you. And,
it did.
Yes.
And it was a joy talking to you, even if it was such a subject. But like I said, I feel it's important, because just because you don't go to a building don't mean you're not a good person. So
right. And a lot of people are dealing with this, and that's why I wanted to bring the story to people rather than like making them search for it. Right. Like here's my story of hope and redemption, and you can have it with a click of a button.
And too many people are that judgy person that you talked about, and make a person that maybe just is down on their luck or fell off the wagon or whatever you want to say, make them feel worse about it. So if you one person, it's well worth it. So absolutely. So, but thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This has been amazing. I'm going to go to bed now.
Yeah, bed.
I think you're on the same Mountain Standard Time zone as me then, eh? No, you're not.
No, I'm Eastern. It's 11 o'clock here. And my husband gets up at 5 a.m. for work. So I'm lucky if I sleep through his alarm. So,
my grandpa used to say, we can always sleep when we're dead.
Yes.
Can. I am high functioning, so I don't need a ton of sleep, but
I don't get enough sleep, but that's
just like,
just
Mickey, what are you doing to me? 10 o'clock at night. What?
Yeah, that happens.
You could have got 9. So,
I
think some people just don't sleep at all, and my husband doesn't sleep at all, and I don't know how he does it. Maybe 3 or 4 hours.
When you work a 24-hour shift, you learn to not sleep, or learn to sleep when you can. So,
right.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being up so late. We appreciate it. Don't let your secret out. Your little lady and got to go to bed at 8 o'clock. So
yes.
Thank you so much, Sam. I appreciate it. Have a great night.
You too. Right. Thank you so much, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Both hours went by like zip to me.
Just like nothing. I looked at the clock. I was like, I cannot believe how fast that went.
Yeah. Sometimes you'll get this. The show started off as a train wreck because of all the technical stuff, and then you get this uptight into the feeling, but then when it unwinds, you look back and go, damn, that happened so quick. I meant to ask this, meant to ask that. So yeah. And your best guests are the ones that really, it's like a conversation, you know?
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, you need to go to bed too. You got little ones. So let's get your plug out there while we got everybody listening. You've got books for sale. You're an author.
Yeah.
Make your pitch.
The best place to check it out, I'm a fantasy adventure author. Website is www.jmshawauthor.com. You can read all about my books, and there's links to find them online. Available on Amazon and Kobo and Barnes & Noble Nook.
Okay. And for anybody listening and maybe going down the road and be like, damn it, I didn't get that, just go to the Sportcat shows and it will be in the show notes. Probably tomorrow, but I always put your links in the show note since you help us out so much. And I appreciate you for coming
pleasure.
on.
Oh, yeah, it's my pleasure.
Before we get out of here, who do we have next week? I should have brought this up. See, I got so in depth with the conversation. I didn't bring up the calendar. I didn't bring up anything. Let's see. Next week. Next week we have two authors, actually. Crime author Jennifer Askew. She's retired law enforcement. So she's got some good information. She's written a crime book. And then Holly is another Canadian author as well. So we've got two authors. So, all right.
Nice.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. It looks like it's going to be a good show. I look forward to some of the, well, yes, you're in the, I put them up and I get to read and I'm like, man, that actually sounds pretty good. I'd like to be
my to be read list is going to explode. As it is, I've had to buy 3 bookcases since I started doing book signings, but I think I might have to buy 3 more by the end of this year.
Yep, I did that to Harley too. So it's like when I can, I'll try and send you a book, just an ebook. So it helps out a lot. Well, thanks for coming on. Let me know if you and by the way, you don't need a special invitation or be a part of a club. Just tell me you want to come on, and you're fine.
Okay.
So, Harley wasn't feeling well tonight, and her kids were.
And I think she was sick before her kids were sick before Christmas. So it makes, it's the time of year.
Yeah, it's running wild. Like I said, it's already been through our house, and with Beth still working in the medical field. Jeez. So
we all got the stomach flu right before Christmas. So we got that out of the way. And now we're heading into cold and flu season. So
man. In Georgia, I don't know if up there they put out like maps that show like different colors and how bad it is by the color red. And ours is so red, it's like deep maroon in Georgia. So
it's like stay inside, hermetically seal your windows.
Exactly.
Do your NR95 masks.
Yeah. Well, at some point in time here in Atlanta, they'll close schools down for like 2 weeks just so that they can disinfect the school. Because, if 50% of your kids are out and 20% of your teachers are sick, you don't really have a school. So they will do that occasionally when it gets so bad. So
the only time they ever close our schools is for statutory holidays, and if it's minus 40 Celsius without the wind.
We would die in Atlanta if it ever got minus 40. Celsius.
Yeah, we wouldn't die here, but we'd be very, very unhappy.
They're unhappy here if it's freezing. So, it's so funny how different parts of the world, our friend down in Florida, the iguanas are falling out of trees, and that's a big deal to them. It's that cold because the iguanas.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
because they're just freezing.
Yeah, they just their metabolism slows down. They just fall out of trees, and it's that cold.
Well, I know one year we had it. This was actually, I think, about 2 or 3 years ago. We saw minus 55 without the wind because we had the wind chill, and then the wind chill was close to minus 60. But our furnace quit, and we woke up, and it was like 17 Celsius in the house, and room temperature is like 21. And so I parked the kids on their little foamy couch in front of the pretend fireplace that's actually a heater, turned on the TV, called the repair guy. The repair guy comes to the house, back door's frozen shut, front door's frozen shut. I'm yelling out, go to the garage. Thankfully, the garage door still opens.
Oh my God.
I'm like, I don't know how they're going to get in.
Let's use a blowtorch to get in.
A hairdryer or something. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Smash a window. Then you got a whole other problem.
I love you, but I couldn't put up with that much cold. So
Yeah, it's only for like December, January, February, comes sometimes in March, and then it's good for the rest of the year.
you're staying like 6 months.
No, not 6 months. No, January and February are the worst months. March is the snowiest. Well, it used to be because the weather's changing now. Climate's changing and all that. But January and February are the worst months.
I'll pass. All right. Well, let's get out of here. Wrap it up. We stayed over late on Dare Talk Radio, Radio X Australia. Thank you for allowing us to tickle your ears, and we will see you guys and gals soon. Next week, actually.
Yeah.
I'm going to kidnap
Looking
you.
forward to it.
So, we'll talk to you later.
All right.